Hey, welcome to Madhouse Magazine Radio Hour, episode 75 of this season. And today we are doing Night at the Opera by Queen, one of the greatest albums ever recorded, of course, as we always say. But this time I mean it, just like I always mean it. But anyway, everyone has... Bello, have you seen the movie yet?
No, I have not.
All right, we're going to have to postpone the show now until Bello goes see the movie. Because, well, anyway, we'll muddle through. But, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the movie because we went to see it the other day. Gina, you saw it, right?
Yeah.
And the best part of the movie... there's so much involved with this movie, though, because we used to go to this same theater every week, right? We talked about it with you guys. That one single theater in Bradley Beach was the only movie theater we would go. No matter how crappy the movie was, we would go see it because it was in our theater. And it was like an old 70s theater with one theater. And it had the red velvet on the walls, and it smelled like Bengay and urine. It was awesome.
It was all
right. And then the tickets were like $8 each. Yeah. Then you get popcorn and soda for $10 total. Not even $10. It was less than
candy,
10.
Yeah,
for $10 you can get all of that stuff.
That's a deal.
They closed it. It was bought out by a big conglomerate from Asbury, the showroom. And it's closed now until they reopen it in next year. Ooh. And it's going to be 3 theaters, but it still might be okay. But anyway, so we had to go to the Googleplex down in Freehold or Howell, wherever we went.
We were in Howell.
It had over 500 theaters in this place.
Yeah.
So
a lot of theaters.
They were still showing movies from the 80s back. There were so many. So anyway, it was everything I hated, it all in one. And it was crowds. You had to wait on line, and the popcorn was like $55, and you get like a 5-gallon drum of it.
Yep.
You mean that's the small?
Right, but the best part of this amazing stuff is going on while we were in that urine-stained theater, that they now have giant recliners when you go to the movies. That you're laying down and you buy the tickets online and you get a reserved seat.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. It was like I was laying down. Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
It is. That's
but
what they've done.
The best part about it was, it was a great movie, I have to say. The Bohemian Rhapsody was a great movie. But what I loved best about it was a man next to me who would laugh inappropriately at everything and way too loud and long. He was like Robert De Niro in Cape Fear, laughing that loud.
No.
It was like everyone else smiled and a mild chuckle. And this guy is going on.
Right, it wasn't a comedy.
Right.
No, not at all. I just find it funny.
I mean, there were some humorous parts.
but
this man, you would think you were watching a comedy.
Yeah, exactly. It was like slapstick.
Then this is why I don't go to the movies.
Yeah.
Why do you have to be around other humans?
Exactly. That's it.
That's a shame.
I think that's what we need to do. We need to reserve the theater and buy it out just for ourselves whenever we want to go.
Someday.
And
Keep playing the numbers.
Yeah. So today, you know what today is, Cha-Cha?
What's today?
November 28th. I think this is the first time in history the show has ever been recorded on my birthday.
Yes, I was quite
So,
surprised
yes.
you were doing this.
Because, I know how delicate everybody is, and I said, what better way to celebrate my birthday is my two buddies, Bello and Gina,
His two best
and the world.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll get more about that.
Are
but
you going to tell them about the best birthday present in the world?
Yes, I am going to talk about that. There's lots to talk about. But first, I want to read a story because, since we've been bought out by Madhouse Magazine, they force us in our contract to read their stupid articles every week. So now, and it was just Thanksgiving last week. Everybody have a nice Thanksgiving. I hope you didn't have any trouble. Bell's going to tell us, as being a vegan, what he had for Thanksgiving dinner. All right. So anyway, this is a nice Thanksgiving story I thought I'd share with everybody. It happened over the Thanksgiving weekend. You know the band The Kinks, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Ray Davies, Dave Davies, brothers in the band, and they've had a turbulent past. So here's a very exciting story. Just happened. Kinks Ray Davies stabs brother Dave with fork on Thanksgiving. Kinks frontman Ray Davies stabbed his brother, guitarist Dave Davies, with a fork during Thanksgiving dinner. Police report that Ray Davies, 74, and his little brother Dave Davies were enjoying Thanksgiving dinner when things turned ugly. The brothers were reportedly drinking and began arguing over the last of the sweet potatoes. As Dave reached for the potatoes, Ray plunged a 3-pronged carving knife fork into his brother's forearm. Dave retaliated by grabbing Ray by the testicles with a nutcracker. And I have to say, it's not one of those decorative nutcrackers for Christmas that you put on the wall. It's the old-fashioned metal one.
Oh, yeah. I still have those.
Me too.
That causes some pain. It has some teeth on it at the top, too.
Got a bite.
So, officers responded to the home where they discovered large amounts of blood. They also found the brothers still locked in the Mexican standoff. Ray was turning blue from the nutcracker applied to his nads, but managed to twist the fork still on Dave's forearm. Officers separated the duo, and they all had a good laugh while enjoying the last of the sweet potatoes and the ginger beer. The Davies brothers' lifetime feud has erupted into fisticuffs many times over the years. On more than one occasion, the brothers have had knockdown, drag-out fights while on stage. And Ray once smashed his brother's birthday cake, and Dave retaliated by paying thugs to rob and shoot Ray in New Orleans. That's a bit excessive, don't you think? Smashing a birthday cake?
Yeah.
So anyway, the Davies brothers have been getting along recently, and a Kinks reunion is in the works. A wrestling match is now planned with fellow rock and roll brothers Noel and Liam Gallagher of Oasis. The match will pair Ray and Noel versus Dave and Liam. There you have it. All the news not fit for print, Madhouse Magazine. Let's hear it for the Kinks and Thanksgiving. So
Isn't that called Sunday dinner? Yeah.
that's actually a true story. That some of that is true, as you know, and that I found this out, that Ray was actually shot in New Orleans.
And his brother.
And robbed. So that I just put two and two together that I believe that Ray did smash his brother's cake, and Ray also got shot in New Orleans and robbed. So I figured it had something to do with each other. So I just put that together. You see how I did that?
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, so I also wanted to talk about what I got for my birthday present. I got what a man of my stature deserves. Cha-Cha got me a towel warmer.
Yeah.
And
Now that's key.
I didn't even know they make that. What is
yes,
it?
That's a
it warms
beautiful
the
thing.
towel, and you don't know that you need this until
You
you
have
use
one.
it,
Yeah.
and then it's the greatest thing in the world. Because
Where'd
Good
you
work,
get it?
Cha-Cha.
I got
That's
it at
awesome.
Bed Bath and
Of
Beyond.
course. Use your coupon.
Use
and now
your coupon,
we have to
yes.
say why
Yes.
it's even more beneficial for me, because Cha-Cha has been freezing me out for like a year and a half now. That every
Going up to
night.
get a dry towel.
Every night. No, every day. That's been going on for 5 years. I have a wet towel because she gets up before
All
me.
right, now
She
knock
showers,
it off.
leaves a wet towel for
Knock
me.
it off.
So I just have a wet towel, and that's it.
You know,
I
and
dry
God
myself with a
forbid
soaking wet
he
towel.
goes in the closet.
That's too much trouble. So anyway, then the day gets started off with a wet towel. Then at nighttime, no matter what time of the year it is, it's 47 degrees in the house.
I don't like to
So,
be hot.
and then in the bedroom, she has the fan blasting because she likes the noise and the air, but she says it's only pointing on her, so I can't feel it. So, and
You have an extra bedroom in the house.
you know what?
I suggest you move.
You know what I feel like? This is the way I describe it. I describe it as that scene from The Exorcist when they're in the room and it's freezing
and the
cold
smoke
and you
is
can
coming
see
out.
the
Yeah, yeah.
smoke coming out.
Yeah, remember that
That's
scene?
what it's like for me every time I
Cool.
go in there. I'm bundled up and I'm like, I can see my
know,
breath.
That's why you need a roommate as a wife, as a woman, because we have that fan going. The house is freezing. It's
What is
wonderful.
happening right now?
So
Gene is trying to convert me.
So you know what? You know what
no
I did
problems
the other
in my
night?
house.
What I did. This is what I do to prepare. You listening to what I do to prepare to come into the ice block room because we hang our meat in there as well.
Yes, right.
So you know, and I saw punching the meat
Ice is
like
the
Rocky.
Rockies
But
there
anyway,
punching
in the other room, I get this 2 giant blankets. I put them on top of me, and then I took the heater on the standalone heater, and I closed the door, so it becomes like 215 degrees in there, and until I'm sweating to death, and then I say, all right, I'm hot enough now. I can go in the other room, and I go running in, and then I can manage to sleep
You
in the
leave the
freezer.
doors open and the two fronts meet.
Door.
You start sewing in your living room.
And then,
Did you hear that? You missed something genius that he just said. That if we leave the 2 doors open, it will start snowing because the 2 fronts will
oh,
meet.
that's
That
awesome.
would
Yeah.
be awesome.
There you
Snow
go.
in the house.
So, all right.
But so how does the towel warmer work though?
You just when you go in the shower,
Beautiful.
you put the towel in there
Right.
and you turn it on, and then when you get out, it's warm, and
I
it's
love that.
like heaven.
I'm gonna ask.
It's like being back in the womb.
I
Yes.
love that.
I just have to shut him up somehow.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
Good work, Chacha. That's
always
very nice.
complaining.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
I'm just
Thank
saying.
you.
He's always cold.
Freezing. What do you want me to do?
One of my very good friends said that her husband wears
Everybody.
So,
My
come
brother's
on.
home.
In the house.
Hold
a
on.
hat. Like
He goes to bed wearing a hat. That's what this world has come
that's what
to.
love
Oh, no.
is.
That's sick.
Wow.
It's not love on the woman's part. That's torture, and he's falling for it.
Poor guy. He looks
Sap.
ridiculous.
Poor
as well.
Yeah, wearing a hat.
Yeah, he's got a
I want him
pom-pom.
to come on here so me and Bells can wedgie him on national television.
Well, I don't know. He's kind of a big guy.
Oh no.
Might need take both of you.
Yeah, Bello got him.
He picks his
right.
back up by all.
Yeah, bangs our heads together. All right, so now it's time to talk about Queen. So, Night at the Opera released November 21st. It's like everything happened in November. A lot of stuff going on in November. November 21st, 1975. Where were you when you first heard this album? I actually remember distinctly where I was, but I don't remember what time of year it was. But I do remember I was in my backyard where all my stupid friends were there and we were playing basketball and just hanging around, and this music came on, Night at the Opera, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? It's like when you see God and you can't comprehend what's happening to you. But
Yeah.
Okay.
is that a good
Right,
explanation?
right. Yeah.
And it was just, my God, nothing was ever,
Yeah.
you never heard anything like that ever in
Right.
your life
That's
before.
right.
You know that they say that, Tommy was a rock opera, but Bohemian Rhapsody literally took some opera and put it
Yes.
in with incredible
Right.
rock and roll,
Yeah.
the most amazing harmonies you ever heard in your life,
Yeah.
and came out with one of the greatest songs ever recorded.
It's really true.
There you have it. And like I always say, that if we live for another 10,000 years and we meet the aliens, they'll never produce a song as good as this or an album as good as this.
yeah.
It is a true masterpiece. So let's talk a little bit about it. Let's talk about the time I went to see Queen. You want to talk about that? I actually saw them with Freddie Mercury in 1980. It was the Game Tour. And it was Madison Square Garden,
too.
and it was incredible.
We were there together.
And well, you might have remembered this because I created a scene when I was there that I was a ruffian and I had my biker Ramones jacket on. So I had this brilliant idea how to sneak alcohol into the concert. I said, they always check you, they frisk you, they strip search you, but I'm going to go right in plain sight. I'm going to hide in plain sight, and it's going to get through. So I have this giant bottle of Southern Comfort, which was the
my
drink
God,
of
that
the
was
day.
the drink
Yeah.
of
Yes,
1980. I haven't had
Absolutely.
that.
Right.
was,
So
huh?
what I did, I put it under my arm, right? And then I slung my jacket over it, kind of like a cape, and I was just like kind of holding it.
Right.
So I was under there, and it bamboozled them. They had no idea what to do. This was like when you heard Bohemian Rhapsody. You didn't know what you were looking at.
Yeah.
The security guards parted ways, and I went marching right in like it
worked?
was my
worked?
communion. But
Wow.
here's the rub.
Here we go.
Here's the
being a 16-year-old buffoon, that once I get inside with my friends, I'm so excited and I'm jumping up and down, holding it up and showing everybody
course you are.
until I feel
Yes.
the clench on my
Grabs you.
shoulder, and I turn around as a New York City cop standing there.
There you go.
It's not a
16
security
years
guard.
old. Right, a real
It's
cop.
not a rent-a-cop. It's a NYPD.
There you go.
And I was like, oh,
Coming
no.
for you.
And I was like, I can't argue, can't say anything.
Yeah.
My brother wasn't even a cop yet, so I couldn't even pull that card.
Forget it.
So I just had to hand it
were
over
doomed.
and just suck it up. But the beauty is, I now remember the concert because he
Yeah.
confiscated the Southern
True.
Comfort.
Yeah. This is
Otherwise,
true.
I
He
would have been
saved you
throwing
from
up.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, he was sober.
And would
Yeah.
have not even known I was there. So, and of
that's
course,
great.
it was a great, great concert. It's just, it was epic, as the kids say
Totally.
today.
Totally.
Yes.
Who opened for him then? Do you remember that?
It was Led Zeppelin. No, I don't even
I don't
remember.
remember either.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
nobody
even
can
have my
open
tickets,
for
though, but I
Queen.
usually
Yeah,
save
I
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I know.
That's
I lost
great.
all my stubs, but I have to launch a full
Yeah.
investigation
Wow. Yeah.
because I think I know who
Can't
took
you
them.
Google it?
Well, yeah,
Probably.
I actually did Google it, but I couldn't even. I forgot already who the opening act was. It was a whole lot of
Probably
nothing.
Memorable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you want to talk about? Let's talk about more Queen and the movie and stuff like this. That I loved the way they did the movie. That I thought it was very well done. Thought it was a great movie, and I loved how they ended up. That they stopped it at Live Aid.
Yeah.
You know, they
Yes,
didn't
that's what I
put you, they didn't torture you with his illness and
Right.
bringing you through the
Right.
sickness and watching it. They took you out at the top. You know, and it was just so amazing that did you know it was voted the greatest performance ever in the
Ever.
history of the world?
Yes.
His performance at Live Aid.
Wow.
And that I don't know if it was true in the the movie did use some artistic license,
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yeah, no,
But
a lot of it.
there was some
Timeline was a little
a
off.
little bit
Yeah,
messed
I
up
was
with the
saying.
timeline.
Well,
But
that,
other than
yeah.
that, it was really, and the guy was really good playing Freddie Mercury.
He
But
was.
the first half of the movie, he looked more like Mick Jagger than
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury.
He
Did you
really
notice
did.
that?
He did.
But once
Yeah.
he got the mustache
And
and
the
the
short
glasses
hair.
and the
Yeah,
short
then
hair,
he-
he
then
looked
he
a lot more like him.
transformed.
Yeah, his body really looked like him.
Yes,
though.
that was the
Yeah.
best part at Live Aid when Freddie's wearing those like mom jeans. He's got them like pulled up to his belly button or something.
Yeah.
Well,
But if you watch the real Live Aid footage with this guy from the movie,
Exactly.
every move he
mirrored it.
made
Wow.
was amazing.
Totally mirrored
you
it.
know,
Totally.
and it was just Live Aid, 100,000 people at least in Wembley. Do you guys even remember Live Aid? It was July
I
13th,
do.
1985.
That was my birthday.
My boss let me
Was
take
it?
the TV.
Yeah,
What?
but I don't remember it.
That was Bella's
don't
birthday.
remember
Yeah,
it?
July 13th is my birthday. I remember Live Aid, but I didn't realize it was,
Yeah. See, the one I had a very bad day that July 13th, 1985 as well. I'm not sure if you want to hear this story.
Of course we do.
Of course we do, Dennis. We're here for you.
I remember exactly where I was because I was in sales at that time.
Sales.
Sales.
So my distributors, and you know how people, I don't know about you. No, I was 20 at this time. 85.
Sorry.
And that, you know how strangers come into your life and they're friends for a little while. I was friends with this guy, Greg. I couldn't remember his life name if it killed me now. So anyway, he introduced me to some distributors in the Dominican Republic neighborhood of Woodside, Queens. So we were going there to pick up a shipment and prepare for the Live Aid of the day, right? And we had a whole day planned. So we get there and we're hanging out with these guys and we make the sales and we go. I had this car, this awesome car at the time. It was a 1970 Pontiac GTO. It was a beautiful
Almost
car.
beautiful.
400 engine, 4-barrel carburetor.
Yeah.
Anyway, we go to leave and it doesn't start. And we're stuck there, so we call a tow truck, and you're in the middle of the ghetto here, and you have to wait all day. We literally had to wait
No
all
one's
day.
coming there.
Yeah, exactly. So we ended up on the rooftop of this this ghetto apartment building. We're on the rooftop and we're hanging out there, and of course they have beer and all this stuff. Yes, so we're hanging out there, and I'll never forget this because I brought my friend Joe, who I've been friends with all my life, right? And I've
all
always
people.
and he was a very straight-laced guy, and I always drag him into situations like this.
Poor Joe.
Right, so we're
Joe
up on this
moved.
rooftop, and Greg,
like
one
Dennis who?
of Greg's friends, takes out a hypodermic needle and starts shooting up on the
I saw
rooftop.
Oh, no.
And Joe almost
Poor
fell off
Joe.
the roof.
Right.
He's like, "What are you doing to me? I wanted to watch Live Aid, and now look where I am."
Right,
Yeah, look
right.
where I am.
What did he do? Oh.
So eventually, the tow truck guy came, and we were able to get back home. And all I remember from the event is Queen and U2.
Yeah.
That the
Wow.
U2
True.
thing was amazing performance too,
Yeah.
with Bono
You don't
and
remember the Pretenders and all that?
No, I
Awesome.
just and there was so many acts. There was like
There were.
everybody in the
There were.
world was
Yeah.
there. There was
Yeah.
the worst thing was the Led Zeppelin reunion. I don't even remember this. Led Zeppelin reunionized for that
Really?
for that
Reunion.
concert. But the drummer was dead, so you know who they had fill in? Phil Collins.
Yes.
And Jimmy
Oh,
Page
wow.
said, "All right, I'm assuming he's going to learn the songs." But Phil Collins shows up and doesn't know the songs.
know the songs.
Figured he would just wing it, and Jimmy Page was so mad at him.
Oh, wow.
And Robert Plant's voice in the beginning was all scratchy and
Yeah.
terrible, but they
Yeah.
pulled it all together at the end for Stairway to Heaven, and it was great. But I would have liked to
There's
be
no
there.
drums in that. That's
Yeah, Phil Collins is reading the
You remember
newspaper.
Bob Geldof and the Boomtown
I do
Rats.
remember that.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
he produced
yeah.
the whole thing.
Yes,
That was
Bob
wild.
Geldof. You know,
Yep.
it was anybody was anybody. It was
Right.
in London and it was in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And it was 99 degrees in Philadelphia, and I'm so glad I didn't go to that. I'd rather be up on the rooftop actually than jammed in
Well,
with 100,000
if you
people.
had a choice.
Yeah, right. Oh, imagine if I was planning to go to Philly to Live Aid and I had tickets and I'm stuck up there.
Up on the
Yeah,
roof.
it was
Would've served
ridiculous.
you right.
Exactly.
Very nice.
So, yep.
Wow.
Amazing stuff. So, and who could forget his chant during that? Remember?
Yep.
Well, when he was doing the Radio Gaga.
Yeah.
Deo, and then
Deo.
100,000 people would
Wow.
chant back to him, and it was just amazing. He was one of the greatest frontmen,
Yes,
and
he was very
he
interactive.
was actually he had the audience in his hand.
Yes.
That was I found that to be a very
did.
poignant part of the movie. You could tell, and this is what happens with lots of rock stars, that they out there and they have a adoration of 100,000 people in the palm of their hand, and then they got to go back and sit in a hotel room, you know,
Yeah.
and that's why they need that feeling again. That's why a lot of them turn to drugs, and you could tell Freddie was sad he didn't have somebody to love, as the song says.
As the song says.
Right. So in
Yeah.
that movie, that he was married to this girl Mary, not married,
That
right?
I did not
Married.
know.
Yeah,
It was his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then he
He
decided that he preferred men.
She basically, I think.
Right.
told him.
He still
Right?
wanted to stay, right?
Yeah,
and
he did.
and she said,
Well,
"Yeah,
he
you're
didn't
gay,
love
Freddie."
let
Till
her
the
go.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He left half of his estate to her.
Yeah.
And her children. She
Yeah.
ended up having children.
Yeah, so it's actually a very nice love story,
I
but
think
twisted.
It was twisted.
It's tortured
in a
soul.
way.
He was tortured soul, absolutely.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
brilliant.
Most talented.
What
You
I
have to be
enjoyed,
talented.
the best part was when he tried out for the bands, right? And then now I know where the mic stand came from.
Yes.
Right? The half of mic stand that he now performed with at every show thereafter.
That it was
'Cause he
just a
couldn't get the mic
fluke.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just broke,
And he just
and he
broke
said,
it.
"All right,
That
I'm
was
going to
it.
go with
That
it."
was
Very
great.
cool.
So,
That was great.
Very
all right,
nice.
let's talk a little bit about Freddie and Queen and his life. Anybody know what his real name is? Farouk.
Yeah.
Farouk Bulsara. September 5, 1946. He was born in Zanzibar. How
I still don't know
exotic
where
is that?
Zanzibar
right?
It's
is.
like a
It sounds
colony of
good.
England.
Yeah.
But he fled at age 17 with his family to England because
Yeah.
it was the 1964 Zanzibar Revolution. Doesn't that sound exciting? Wow. That sounds like me escaping Woodside on the
rooftop.
the rooftop
I never
revolution.
even heard of
Dominicans,
Zanzibar
yes.
till Billy
I
Joel
know.
wrote
Yeah,
that song.
exactly. But
Yeah.
it sounds like an awesome place.
Well,
Uh,
that is something else.
like
too.
a Humphrey Bogart movie, you know?
Right?
Exactly.
used to be called
Sounds
a different
scary to
country, like-
me.
Yeah, it was
Tasmania or
Persia, and I don't know. It was
But
very
yes,
complicated.
they
But
changed it. Yeah,
anyway,
very-
me and Freddie had something very in common. You know that we both worked as baggage handlers. That's a whole nother story. He worked at Heathrow Airport. I worked at Kennedy Airport.
Wow.
Wow.
I worked at Newark Airport as a
Did you
baby
really?
kid.
Oh,
Yeah,
look
we
at
never talked
that!
about this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did were you fired in a sting operation when they arrested everybody at the place?
No, but I was fired for stealing liquor. That, you know. I resigned.
I resigned.
But yeah.
Dan, were
Forced
you?
resignation.
GST, is that what you were, Dennis?
No,
Ground service technician.
No, well, kind of, but the company I worked for this company called Triangle, and I was the only white guy there, and it was ridiculous. We'd sit in this room, and they'd all watch soap operas all day, and I'd be hanging out with them. And you have to wait for a plane to come in. A plane comes in,
Yes.
and then you got to go out in these
Wow.
crappy trucks and go unload stuff.
Yes.
And I used to love going inside the plane because it was hot out on the runway and
summer.
stuff, and in the summer it was
Yeah,
so
that
cool,
is-
air conditioned,
oh, it was
and
the
you could do this.
greatest.
But anyway, all these people were stealing. I didn't do anything. I was clean as a whistle, and I said, "Nope, I'm not getting involved. You're going
Yeah,
to get
that's
caught,
the
obviously."
feds,
and they're
yeah.
opening luggage and taking things out. So obviously, the FBI had a sting, and they set it up. And
Oh,
one day
wow.
when I wasn't there, I was off, and they came in and they arrested the whole lot of them.
Wow.
Oh man.
Nice.
So
good
I almost
story.
got killed one time too, though. That the
Wow.
trucks that used to have to
Yes.
drive around with were terrible, right?
Right.
And I'm driving on the runway one time, and it conks out, and I'm stuck on the runway
you got
with a
blasted.
plane coming.
Yes. Oh, he was going to run you over.
And I was gonna get sucked into the
Yes.
engine, and
Oh,
I just
no.
abandoned it, and I ran away. I said,
Right.
"I'm not risking my life for a minimum wage.
Yes.
Right,
Wow.
and did you watch it get
No, it didn't get
smashed?
smashed. I
Oh,
panicked.
wow.
It wasn't.
This
That's
isn't a
great.
good start.
Well, what? All right, yeah. Some guy came to rescue me, and he got sucked into the engine and killed. Is that a better story?
Yeah.
Do a whole show on that. Then I got so many great stories.
Yes, absolutely. We should do a whole Live Aid show
Yes.
too, because so many
I said
acts
that.
there. Yeah.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So then, anyway, there was this band Smile, right, featuring Brian May and Roger Taylor, and the lead singer quit. And as the movie showed, Freddie said, "All right, I'll join." And they said, "All right, you're in." And they changed their name to Queen. And then John Deacon, the bass player, joined in 1971. And then they hooked up with this Trident production company or whatever. It wasn't even a record label. And they recorded an album. They shopped it around. They hooked up with EMI and Elektra. And they released 3 albums. You know what they were called? Queen, Queen 2, and...
Sheer heart attack.
Very good. You cheated.
That was awesome.
How can I cheat?
You're supposed to say Queen 3, right? That was very good.
Wow, that was awesome. I gotta say, couldn't even have wrote that joke. So anyway, they split with Trident. They were looking for a new manager. They contemplated having Led Zeppelin's manager, Peter Grant, but then they said no. He's going to pay too much attention to Led Zeppelin. We want someone else. So they went with Elton John's manager. Like,
that's
you know, like
fun.
Elton John doesn't
Yeah,
need
right.
that much.
Like, he wasn't big at the time.
Yeah, he didn't need much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, 1975, they released this masterpiece. At the time, it was the most expensive record ever produced. It cost $475 at the
That's a
time.
lot of money back then.
But it was all worth it. It went
Yeah.
to a number. Oh, but this, you know how this drives me crazy though. It never went to number 1. It went to number 4, and it was 3 times platinum. It sold a lot,
Right.
but it never went to number 1. And Bohemian Rhapsody never went to number 1. I think the highest Bohemian Rhapsody ever went was to number 9. And then I wrote down the songs from 1976 because this was released.
It was in November, right?
Right, it was released at the end of 75, so it would be charting in 76. And it took a while, and I watched the progression, and it went down to number 9 like in May or something
So
like
what the
that.
heck was number 1?
Number 1 at the time, Disco Lady by Johnny Taylor. And I don't think I even know that song.
Move it in, move it out. Disco lady. Oh, it's terrible.
Oh my God, that is
man,
so
that's
bad.
horrible.
See?
Okay,
All
I
right.
can see that.
And 76. You know what else was number 1 during that year?
Don't Go Breaking My Heart.
Disco Duck, of course, 76.
Oh crap!
Rick
That was
Fly,
the war.
Robin, Fly.
Yeah, that was the year.
Afternoon
That's it.
Delight.
Oh, that's my
Oh,
favorite.
That's
Don't
my
make-
jam.
Don't make me tell that
Wow.
story again.
Holy.
Don't make me.
And then, of course, I Write the Songs was number 1 that year. And we
Well,
found
that
out
one.
Yeah.
he doesn't write
He
the
didn't
songs.
even write
I
them.
want to talk about the songs on here. That I loved all these songs. Every song on here. It's one of those albums where every song is great, even if they weren't a big hit.
Right.
Death on Two Legs, like I said. Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon. It's like all these different styles they had, too.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in love with my
Everything's
car.
different.
And that was funny scene from the movie when he's trying to talk them into recording I'm in love with my car, and the rest
Yeah.
of the band is, what kind of stupid song is that? We're not doing that, but of course they did it.
About nothing.
Yeah.
He did.
All the time.
And then You're My Best Friend went to number 16. It should have been number 1.
Yeah.
Wow, how awesome is that song? 39 is a great song. Now this is another one. Sweet Lady. I love that song. Seaside Rendezvous, the Prophet Song, and this, one of the best love songs ever written, Love of My Life. Beautiful, beautiful song. Good Company, Bohemian Rhapsody, and God Save the Queen.
Did
there
he
you have
really
it.
write that song for Mary, though?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know
absolutely.
if they
Yeah,
did
no, that was
for the
true.
for the movie.
Yes.
They really only had 3
I got to
albums.
see this movie.
Before Bohemian Rhapsody. It
Before
was their
Bohemian.
4th. I mean, before Night at the Opera. Now, look at this. Night at the Opera. You know where they got that name from, Bello?
They went to the opera one night?
No, the Marx Brothers movie.
Oh, yes, I did know
wow.
that. Right, yes.
Yeah, they were watching it in the studio,
Yeah.
and they said, let's
yeah.
call it that.
Did not know that.
Yeah, that's well, we'll get to this when we start smelling it, but it looks like a good one. So, yes, arguably greatest singer of all time. No, it's not.
Well, it's
arguably,
not arguably.
he's the greatest front man of all
Right,
time. You can
right.
say that Jim Morrison, Iggy Pop, Mick Jagger, blah, blah, blah. But
Right.
it was scientifically proven that he was the greatest singer of all time.
How do you prove that?
Because they measured his range
four
and this
different-
and that.
Right.
They used
Yeah.
scientific things. Yes.
Octaves or something.
And they
Yeah, I know
said,
he's-
right after Freddie Mercury, was me in the car singing along
Yes.
to Minnie Riperton. That
Loving you.
You played a flugelhorn?
You know that song, right? No. I can't do it right now. My voice is not trained.
That's Minnie Riperton?
See? Nice. All right.
Yes.
Oh, God.
That's Minnie Riperton.
That
was good.
I almost hit it.
So, of course, they went on to sell over 300 million albums.
Thank God.
Ridiculous. Want to hear some of these singles? Killer Queen. Love that song. Keep Yourself Alive. Somebody to Love. One of the greatest songs ever written. Tie Your Mother Down. We Are the Champions. We Will Rock You. That went to number 4. Bicycle Race. Fat Bottom Girls. Crazy Little Thing. This was when they hit their peak in 1980. The Game. Crazy Little Thing went to number 1. Another One Bites the Dust went to number 1 that year. And then, of course, they had Radio Gaga and Under Pressure with Bowie. Hit after hit. It was ridiculous. But then Freddie got AIDS, and he died at the age of 45, November 24th, 1991.
Yeah.
See, I told you, everything happens
in November.
November 24th. So I actually,
Wow, that's crazy.
they have a statue for him in Montreux, Switzerland, which I was lucky enough to see.
Wow.
And they had a museum for him because Montreux is the most beautiful town in the world, right on the water, and that's where they wrote Smoke on the Water. That's that building burned down when Frank Zappa was playing there. And inside that building now, it's a brand new casino, but they have a Queen museum there.
Wow.
Because Freddie spent the time there. He lived there at the end of his life.
Oh, wow.
So, so I was there on business. Every night I went to that casino because there was not much to do. And I looked at the Queen Museum, and I went by the statue every day. I took a picture with it. So, yes, if you ever go to Montreux, Switzerland, that's where they have the Montreux Jazz Festival, too. So it's a lot of stuff to go there.
That's on my list.
Yes. So, and I am completely rejecting Adam Lambert and Paul Rodgers. There's only one Queen. That's with Freddie Mercury. You cannot replace Freddie Mercury. You know?
No, Adam Lambert comes pretty close. The kid's got a good voice.
Nope, but still, he's not Freddie Mercury. No one's Freddie Mercury. You shouldn't even try. I should slap those guys in the face. Now, I got to say that these guys are great musicians and songwriters, great harmonies and everything. Brian May is in my top 10 favorite guitar players of all time.
You
I
always
just
said that.
love his sound, love his playing. Everything about this band. Because those of you playing at home, go get your Night at the Opera album, and we will smell it now. Because there's so much good stuff in here, as Gina was pointing out before. That if you open it up, they have the lyrics to every song, and they have the pictures, and who plays what, and it's just awesome, you know? See, I'm already mesmerized.
Yeah.
And this is what I used to do.
We lost the host.
See, now that's the thing. Like, I've long since forgotten more than you'll ever know, most of you. But I used to study this like it was the Bible.
Yeah.
That when I was playing albums, and I would do nothing besides watch television and listen to music for like 8 hours a day.
Yep.
No, I did a lot of stuff, actually. I did
Nothing
go out a lot.
good.
But I'm saying on my free time, I would listen to music nonstop till the second I woke up, till the second I went to bed. And I would sit there with the album like this, studying it, and I would memorize the length of the songs even. That was my thing that I've forgotten now, but I still might remember some songs. And I could do, like, you name a song, and I'd say 3 minutes, 10 seconds on the... I was like
But
Ralph
it
Norton.
gave you the musicians
Yes.
who played on there. It gave you the producers, like,
Exactly.
so much information.
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
knew
it's
everything.
lost
You know,
now.
like, you have no idea what's going on anymore with music. Thank God. But if music was still good and was on MP3, imagine the troubles.
Yeah.
Nobody would know the words.
Yeah.
Nobody would see what the band looked like.
That's what my wife always says.
Right,
How do you
right.
know all these words from these? And that's how. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
She didn't do that when she was a kid, I guess. You know?
She had a misspent youth. All right, so now's the time we're going to smell the album.
Sniff.
Ready? Here it goes. It looks like a good one. I don't want to say nothing, but I actually pre-smelled it. And I let Cha-Cha pre-smell it, and she almost sniffed the smell out of it.
Can you just hurry up?
Ah, that is so good. That is the best. Now, I'm going to tell you my favorite Queen song of all time. I'm going to have to go with Somebody to Love. Off of this album, what should I say? You guys don't need to do this, but I'm going to say, off of this album, I really like
It's awesome.
every song, Bello. I can't pick.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say I'm in love with my car. I love that song. Well, no, I got to go with Bohemian Rhapsody. That's it. You can't
was
pick any
gonna
other
say,
song
what is-
because
how could
I'm
you-
dismissing it because I heard it 10 billion times, but I still never
It's
get
back
sick
on
of
the
it.
charts again
Yo,
or
yeah, it went
something?
back on the charts
Yeah,
3
yeah.
times. You know that?
Three
people
times.
Yeah,
start
Wayne's
to
World, right?
Oh,
use
we
that.
forgot about that. Wayne's World. When
Wayne's
Wayne's World
World.
came out, they were in the car and they were
Yeah.
banging
Yes,
their heads
they
to
were banging
it,
their heads
and
to it.
a million kids did that
That's
after that,
awesome.
and the song went back up on the charts after that.
Yeah.
When Freddie died, it went back on the charts, and now when the movie came out, it's
So
back
now
on the
your
charts.
daughter and her friends, aren't they all listening?
Yeah, yeah,
Aren't they all singing?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
absolutely.
I've got a bunch of
I love when that
14-year-olds in my car every morning singing
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Best.
And I love it.
Yes.
Best.
Oh, another point that came out. Did you know that he had over 57 teeth, and that's why he had that unique voice?
Now,
was
is that
so
true?
He- well-
So he did.
How many
know
teeth
this,
does
and they
a
were
regular
buff.
person have?
Well, no, they even
Yeah.
mentioned it in the movie that
Is
he
that
had.
the true
Yes,
factual
he
thing?
has a thing. I forget what it's
had a
called.
thing.
It's arterial
Scientifically.
sclerosis.
Arterial sclerosis of the
What's
mouth.
that thing called?
Yeah, it's,
Monochromia.
monochrome.
Well, anyway.
Because he had all these extra teeth, that gave him a higher range.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
what
he
are
can
you
open
trying
his
to
mouth
say?
more. That's what he said. That it's a
Oh.
true thing, and he didn't have 57 teeth, but he had like 4 extra teeth, so that's why his
Sure.
mouth could open up bigger. Imagine if he had 2 rows like a shark, he can open up.
Yeah.
But no, that's what
They
he.
tried to cure it. They gave him a pill and a warm saucer of milk.
57 teeth. Oh my
He
god.
have different varieties.
Ridiculous. That can't be
He did
true.
have
Yeah, so he
some
did have
smile.
some condition, and he did have some extra teeth, and that's why he could get that extra sound.
And this is why he
there
never
was
fixed them the way Barbara never fixed
Right.
her nose.
Oh.
exactly.
He might have
There you go.
messed with it.
What do you get when you mix human DNA with dolphin DNA?
What?
Kicked out of the aquarium. I'll tell you that. Now remember, your grandfather had the heart of a lion and the eyes of an eagle and a lifetime ban from the Philadelphia Zoo. That's where I got that joke from. That was, and the other one was, which M&Ms did Tattoo prefer? The plane. That's a nice
good.
70s joke.
You get it? The plane, the plane.
Plane.
So, and speaking of M&Ms, that I actually have uncovered that plain M&Ms are the worst candy
Why do you
in
say
existence.
this? Wow, I missed them.
Wow.
That plain
Oh,
M&Ms, they
yeah.
like
Don't
taste
tell
like
a
nothing.
starving man
They don't
that.
have any nougat. They don't have peanut butter. They just have this plastic
No
shell
cream.
on the outside, and tiny little chocolate
Tiny
inside.
little
God knows
chocolate.
what this is made of. But I
that
want
we
to
know.
explain why I'm the funniest man in the world. Can I, Cha-Cha? Do you mind if I do this?
I-
Because
not at
every
all.
day before the show, every week before the show, that Cha-Cha
Of course it's
curses.
Carolyn.
You know, you knew I was going to say this. Is why I asked your permission.
Yeah,
Cha-Cha
but you didn't say
curses
can't
me.
do a rebuttal.
Cha-Cha curses me. I hate this show. I hate doing this show. Why are you making me do this show? This stinks. I'm tired. Blah, blah, blah. This is 5 minutes before I have to
No,
come on
not
the air
5.
and be
No,
funny.
no.
She stresses me out to no end. Literally, before I'm sitting down, I'm
delicate.
turmoil. You know, can you
That's
imagine
that
this?
delicate excuse.
But listen to this. Imagine this. Johnny Carson, someone berating him before he went on the air 5 minutes. No, he's got a hot towel on his face, relaxing back there before he has to be funny.
all
Every
zen.
comedian in the world is getting massages. And me, I have to come out of turmoil.
At least you got the hot towel.
I
man.
think
All
that,
I know is
go heat
that
that sucker
until
up.
I get hair and makeup and better lighting, this will continue.
but maybe this is good. This is what I need. I need turmoil. You know, I
do,
thrive
you
on
do,
turmoil.
You do.
I,
Imagine
yeah.
if I was nice to you, you turn on me on a dime.
So
I
anyway,
like the fire.
That's true.
there we have it.
You gotta hold that up.
So that is it. Queen Freddie Mercury, if you have a chance, go see
go.
Bohemian
Gotta go.
Rhapsody. You will laugh. You will
Yes.
cry.
Yeah.
You will sing along.
Beelzebub has the devil put aside
For me. For me.
for me.
There you have it. That was better than the original, I
That's
think. All
good
right,
stuff.
let's hear it for us.
You are cutting that out.
No way.
I think you can love